This episode is brought to you by SpruceOnTap.com. SpruceOnTap.com carries a variety of spruce tips, fir tips, juniper berries, and so much more for your brewing or culinary needs. SpruceOnTap.com provides the freshest products by harvesting them and immediately vacuum packaging and freezing them. Their products are never dried or dehydrated, ensuring that your order arrives tasting and smelling as fresh as the day they were harvested. SpruceOnTap.com ships out American-sourced, wild-harvested ingredients for people who celebrate craft beverages and the culinary arts. Listeners of our podcast can get 15% off your order of $25 or more when you use the promo code HHH at SpruceOnTap.com. Again, that's SpruceOnTap.com. Use promo code HHH and get 15% off any purchase of $25 or more. Thank you, SpruceOnTap.com, for supporting our podcast and better brewing. This episode is brought to you by Muntins Malts, a company that is passionate about providing premium malts to brewers worldwide. For over a century, Muntins has been a leading supplier of brewing and distilling malts, offering the finest British malted barley on the market. You can experience the difference Muntins offers by joining a recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club, because every kit that ships out now includes premium Muntins malt. You know, we've known the Muntins crew for a long time, and I can tell you, friend, you're going to love brewing with their grains. Ask your local supply shop to carry Muntins malts, or homebrewers can join our Trub Club at homebrewhappyhour.com/club, be a part of the community, and come brew with us. Thank you, Muntins, for supporting our efforts and homebrewers worldwide. Today's show is brought to you by Hopsterette.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Pewterball family farm, Hopsterette.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is Hopsterette.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to Hopsterette.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's Hopsterette.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Fermenting in a homebrew keg, how to use a quick carbonation lid, and brewing a coffee stout. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 351. Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. And if you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you can go to homebrewhappyhour.com. You can click on that submit a question link at the top of the page. Or even better, you can call it in. Hear me out. Call it in, leave a voicemail, get yourself a $25 gift card when you use our hotline 325-305-6107. I'm one of your hosts, Joshua Stubing, joined as always by the Director of Operations at cmbecker.com over there, Mr. James Carlson, as well as the President and Chief Keg Washer. And how many buttons down does it go? Mr. Todd Burns. I can't, your top, I can't see. You have one. You always do this, and I always get after you. Is it fashion? You always leave like the top, like it's always Margaritaville. wherever you are. Like it's always, it's are you going to show us?
Let me see.
It's just the top two buttons are done. Okay. No, you look great, man. You look great. I'm not wearing a button.
One button. What do you, here, I'll do it like Josh Stubing.
That's, yeah. Puro chulo, or puro chulo, pardon me. Puro cholo, not chulo.
I don't think I can get that one. It's never been put on before.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Absolutely.
Hi, I'm Josh Stubing, and I'm tired of talking to you about beer today.
You look sharp, man. That was good. Whatever. Every time, James, we do a video, we've been trying to film more content, like one-off, shorter stuff. And I have those clip-on mics, that Rode mates, and now they'd be 5 or 6 years old now. By the way, every time I try to put it on Todd, he has so many buttons down. It's basically on his solar plexus to his belly button.
I'm part Italian.
Yeah, but you won't ever just button them up for me for the video. You're like, no, they look stupid. I don't want to button them up. Anyway, how are y'all guys doing?
Real men like people to be able to see their chest hair here, Josh.
Oh, I will show some chest hair.
Mine's blonde, so it's kind of hard to see. But yeah.
I'm wearing a sweater.
Okay, it's white. Actually,
yeah, yours is white. Yeah. Remember the time I won that $5 bet because you bet me $5 your brother was hairier than me, but it worked out for me.
Now.
It was a great bet. It was between chest and back. He had no idea, though, when his brother came up, it must have been opening weekend. His wife had just groomed him, so I won by default.
She had him waxed. Yeah, it was so wrong.
I won, though. That's all that matters. It was like 2021, opening weekend of like.
Oh, God, 2020. Yeah, November of 2021 when you won your last bet with me.
Because I refused to bet you.
It was I think it was like 2 years before that, actually.
I think you're right. It was actually before COVID. It was 2018 or 2019. But yeah. Todd was super convinced. And it may be true. I've still never seen your brother shirtless when he's not groomed. His wife has that on lockdown. I tell my wife, this is what you get, babe. I'm sorry. And this is what you married. This is what you get. There ain't no give backs. No,
well, she can't see it anyway. You have her shirt all the way buttoned up.
You're right. Yes, you're right. I'm talking about Todd when it comes time to unbuttoning. But anyways, when Cruise Ship Christie comes around, and I've said too much, let me get to the small talk. We are actually recording this on that Wednesday where I was told like an hour ago by somebody in my text, someone had messaged me, hey, did you know today FEMA's doing some broadcast thing? I was like, what are you talking about? I have those disabled on my phone, but apparently it might push through. So if it pushes through, whatever, I'll mute it. So we'll deal with it if we have to. This supposedly in 7 minutes that's going to happen. So, but of small talk, what do I have here? It is, I haven't been saying it on here. I'm sending an email out this afternoon. People who have entered into the Alt Pokal, which, by the way, registration is closed. This is just some housekeeping. The dates did get pushed back. It is now October 26th. That's a Thursday through the 28th. That's a Saturday because Todd's going to be antelope hunting in the week that it was going to be, right?
Yes, antelope.
So,
yeah.
So Todd's going to be taking down some antelope instead. We're pushing it back.
Those vicious antelope.
Vicious and delicious. Vicious and delicious.
Vicious and delicious.
I again, like with the Kolsch Cup, when I pushed it back a week, everybody who's replied to me has been ecstatic. They're like, fantastic, an extra week. But all that really means is, we're doing it a week later, and your beer's not due until a week later. So instead of it being due the 13th by Friday, please try to get it to us by Friday, October the 20th. That would help me out tremendously when I go up there to organize all the beer and get it ready for us to judge and all that stuff. To preemptively crack it open and get buzzed. No, to organize it and get it ready for the Alt Pokal. I'm super excited. The shirts are getting ordered. The trophies coming in. We are going to have a fantastic event, and you can learn more if you didn't sign up, but you want to know, wait, what is all this? I'm new to the show. altpokal.com has all the details, has everything, and we're going to try to make it an annual thing, kind of like Kolsch Cup is turning into. So I wanted to get that bit of housekeeping out of the way. Also, we, let's see. You may have heard the new ad at the top of the show. That's because our buddies for the entire month of October, our buddies at spruceontap.com are sponsoring the show. and giving listeners of this podcast a 15% off discount on orders of $25 or more at spruceontap.com. That's my segue, guys, to, drumroll please, the October kit is a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. This is your Trub Club Christmas beer. It's a Christmas ale. It's after Todd made a recipe based on a collection of Anchor Christmas ales, because they changed it every year, right, Todd? So
yeah. What is it? Is that a Christmas bush?
I took it from the 2018 label. That's literally, I photoshopped the 2018 label. Maybe I should have picked a more obvious spruce tree label they had.
I think it's a bush, dude.
Well, it was one of their labels. I took the one I thought looked the coolest.
I can't believe you just admitted on air that you stole their artwork.
Oh no, we do it all the time. Remember? Or maybe I do it to the Patreon. When they sign up, I frequently tell people when the Sierra Nevada clone totally stole that, photoshopped it.
You're pretty much screwed now if you get sued. I did not have any
it's
idea that he was stealing copywritten photographs.
No, it's parody, fair use. I'm gonna do one of my favorite genre of YouTube videos is the sovereign citizen ones. I'm not against what they're saying. I'm not necessarily for what they're saying, but when they get pulled out of the cop car and get beaten because you don't need my license. I'm journeying, not traveling, or I forget what they say, but that's what I'll do with this. I'll just be like, no, you can't sue me. It's parody. It's free use. But
I had no idea.
Anyway, yeah, he had no idea. But you can see I've added for the month here. Todd reached out to these cats at spruceontap.com. They're homebrewers themselves. They actually own a commercial brewery as well. And they were excited, Todd, to help support the Trub Club and get us some spruce tips that are going to go in each recipe. I think it's 4 ounces of spruce tips per recipe, which is going to make for a very piney Christmas ale, right? When you came up with the recipe, you were just going for Christmas in a bottle or a keg.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what I always loved about Anchor's Christmas beer. To me, maybe not every year as much, but my favorite ones that they had were the ones that tasted like a Christmas tree, and I very much I miss that. I'm going to miss that beer this year. It's going to be the first year we don't get that beer. There was some talk about people trying to salvage Anchor and all that, but I haven't heard anything else about it. So it looks to me like they're gone.
If only I was still doing Booze News Weekly, I'd probably know. But I haven't had my nose in that pile in a while. But we just got the emergency one. Did y'all all get that too?
I turned my phone off so it wouldn't bother our listeners.
Mine went off.
Yeah, so
I had to turn it.
That was a lot less eventful than I thought it'd be. Everyone, my favorite here, talking about genres, throwing people under the bus on Instagram. I guess the algorithm knows that I love conspiracy theories. Again, don't buy into them, but I love them. And people were legit wearing tinfoil today, James, because the frequencies of the alert is gonna mess with some rhythmic, and I love it. I'll hop on board with it. Sure, I should have worn a tinfoil hat right now. Now I got penetrated by the rays. Who knows what's gonna happen? Now I can't have kids anymore. I have a vasectomy. I cannot have kids anymore. But I'm gonna blame 5G. Anyways, multiple call October 26th to the Christmas beer. If you want to brew with us, go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. Join a recipe receiving tier. You got to join the 50 at least. We have people who get 2. They're in the 10 gallon. We haven't had anybody in the 15 gallon in a while. But if you join the every month recipe tier at whichever volume you want, that's how you're guaranteed to get it. Now, I'm very known for people joining the $35 tier, which is the minimum for every other month. And then I'm like, can I please get it this month? And I'm very, very flexible with that. I've only gotten burned once. Please don't be the second time to burn me. But really, go there, join a every month recipe tier, and get this delicious Trub Club Christmas beer shipped out to you. And it's actually going to be shipped out a little bit earlier than the last Monday. It's going to be the second to last Monday of the month, which is the 23rd, I do believe. So go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour, join the community, come brew with us, all of that stuff. And I believe that's all I've got, guys. And y'all don't have any more. Oh no, we do have small talk. James, I want you to show the beer can that you got for it.
Oh, that's so cool.
So
it's JR beer. So this thing was produced around 1980, and anybody
pull it back just a little bit. There
my
you go.
age knows that it's
That's cool.
That is cool. So describe. It was Pearl brewed it, correct?
Yeah, Pearl brewed it for the show Dallas. JR, a lot of people don't have a clue what Dallas was. A real popular show on CBS in the 1980s. And I remember watching it as a kid. And my brother came across a customer had gave him 2 6-packs of these, and he gave me one. So it was cool. They're unopened.
So cool.
They have pull top cans. And then it's dated on the bottom, but it's around 1980.
Now, what are the odds?
So this is yours, Josh.
I appreciate it. What are the odds that I'm not drinking it? It's a collectible.
Yeah, I don't know if you would want to.
That's what I wanted to ask. Is like
how many do you have, James?
I've got I got a 6-pack. So you got one, Josh. I've got 4
I'll
left.
I'll give him $20 to drink one of them.
You don't give James $20 for me to drink one?
I'll give y'all both $20 if Josh.
I'm keeping mine. I'm not.
Wait, but
he has to finish. He has to finish the whole can.
How about make it 50 and I'll drink mine?
Yeah, you would drink the whole can
for $50?
Well, I don't think James wants us to open them.
Y'all can do whatever you want to with them. Mine. I'm going to keep. Yeah, I can give them to you. There's no conditions. Y'all can have them.
Okay.
Let's talk, Mr. Burns. Let's talk.
All right. $50, and you have, but no matter what it tastes like, you have to drink the whole thing.
No matter what.
It still has pressure on the can.
Or I get to hit you as hard as I want on the arm 50 times.
Oh, the arm. God. Remember that bet one time? I forgot what it was, but if I lost, you got to kick me in the nuts. That hitting me in the arm is way better than getting kicked in the nuts. Yeah. Well, let me think about it. This isn't like a $5 bet.
Okay.
There could be like botulism in the can. I could die. Probably not. I mean, it's pasteurized, I'm assuming. It's probably
it just beer, says, I don't think it's pasteurized.
Why would
it says premium beer produced by Pearl Brewing Company, San Antonio, Texas, and it's trademarked J.R. Ewing and designed Lorimar Productions, which is the company that made the show. But it says if you need to ask, I can't get it to focus on that, but if you need to ask how much it costs, you can't afford it.
Was that his catchphrase, or is that something JR would say? Like he was
that's something he would say. He was a rich old man.
I love it. Yeah, Dallas.
Go cowboy.
Now, you've never heard of JR. You've never heard of JR, and who shot JR?
Here's what I remember. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, because I think this was.
You must have been stuck on Gilligan's Island when all that went down.
Is Dallas not the one? What show was it where it ended up being like a figment of imagination in like an autistic kid's mind, or was that like The Young and the Restless? Or remember that there was some plot twist. No, come on. There, somebody out there, please redeem me. It was maybe it wasn't. Wasn't Dallas a soap opera, or is it not considered a soap opera? It was a soap
opera.
Okay,
but it was a prime time.
Yeah, it was
one of the first
prime
time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Someone's going to. I mean, there was some show I remember seeing the replays of it on like That's So 80s or whatever VH1 used to make in the early 2000s, and it was some show where the big plot twist was none of this was even real. It was all a snow.
Oh, you're talking about Breaking Bad. At the very end, he wakes up with his wife on the other show, Malcolm in the Middle.
No, that really happened?
I believe I was a drug dealer. And yeah, that was at the very end. They actually showed it in the extras on the ending.
Oh, no way. No, I'm thinking
someone
will comment. YouTube.com/Homebrew Happy Hour. Redeem me. Comment. Let me know, because I don't think I'm making it up and I don't have time to search for it and inject it into the show. But if I did, I would go bing.
Careful with that, son. Remember I told you that? I don't understand this autism thing, Pop. Here's my son. I talk to him. I don't even know if he can hear me. Because he sits there all day long in his own world, staring at that toy. What's he thinking about? All right, come on, son. Let's go wash our hands, all right? It's all right.
right there. But anyways, that's all the small talk I have and the most digression I've ever done. So with that being said, it's time for listener feedback. Did you want me to redo it? I mean, I do the bumper so I can hear it. No, I'm kidding. We have this week. We actually have a very voicemail forward show. I don't know if you two noticed, but I did feedback and 3 voicemails. Todd, 4 voicemails in a row. It's
that's awesome. That's awesome. I didn't read
early Christmas present for you.
I didn't look at any information.
You've always told me your favorite thing is when we get voicemails. Like that's all you want.
Yeah, I love it.
If it was up to you, every show would be 3 or 4 voicemails every time. That's what you want.
Absolutely.
So this is. I should have done it for 350, but for 351, here's my present to you. Our listener feedback is our buddy Chris from Florida, and he called in about why he uses RO water sometimes with sanitizer.
Hey guys, this is Chris from Florida again, calling about some feedback. I heard your episode last week on, and someone had a question about the Star San and their water. So from what I understand, the pH of your solution really matters. So if you're gonna just use it in the next hour, doesn't really matter what kind of water you're using, but if you're going to try to extend that out, so like I do, I create spray bottles of the solution so I can spray stuff down. I use RO water, so I don't have to worry about that pH changing too much, and then that sanitizer actually lasts a lot longer. I hope that helps anybody that had this similar question, and I hope you guys have a great one. Talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you, Chris, for the feedback. That made sense, right? If you're trying to keep a sanitizer stabilized longer, maybe you want to use RO so that you don't have that pH fluctuation from your base water. But y'all don't store sanitizer, right? And mixed sanitizer. I know I don't. I don't keep it stored.
Well, one of
it in the brew room.
You do? You keep one like already mixed up?
Uh-huh.
How long does it typically last you? And are you using RO with that, or do you not even think about using it for that?
I don't use RO with it. I just use regular tap water.
But we use SandStep, and it's very different than Star San on that. So
yeah,
there's variables, right? That change the answer to the question. But I guess I didn't realize you kept it there. How long does it keep? Do you have any? Or
generally, I'll keep it. I don't really know. I need to ask Rick about that. But I would think every month, if you keep a bottle, probably need to get a fresh one. But that's just off the top of my head.
Right. That's just you saying this is how I do it. Yeah. Not that no science.
I don't remember exactly what she said, but I was shocked one time when Lorena told me how long she keeps them.
Well, I want
a long time,
like months and months and months.
Like a year, 6 months or something. Way. I don't remember what it was exactly.
But what would be the point of that? I think our buddy Jonathan,
because she doesn't want to spend the money to mix more up.
You mean or the time?
She just no the money. She doesn't want to. She uses it over and over and over again to save money.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah. Well, no, I don't get what you're saying, because once you have it mixed up and you're spraying it, that's it being used.
I'm not talking about for spraying it. I'm talking about like 5 gallons of it or 10 gallons of it.
Oh, you mean, so I have a keg full of it to sanitize this keg. Then I put it in another keg. That keg sanitized. Now I put that one
in a bucket or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I got to ask Lorena about
Sounds dangerous to me. We should ask her about that sometime.
Sounds dangerous. Well, hey.
Why come we don't ever have her on the show, by the way?
Well, I don't know if you purposely segued or not. She's coming in a month to the ranch.
Yeah, of course I know. She's coming to visit me.
Well, she's coming to visit me. And when she comes to visit me, we're going to have her on the show again.
Oh, she is. She is going to be on the show. That's awesome.
She might not know it, but she is. Yes, she's going to. Absolutely. And James, you have to come out, obviously, to the ranch, too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she asked
last year.
Yeah.
She asked what week you weren't going to be here. I thought.
Lies. I was in I have a group chat with her and Keith, or maybe not her and Keith, her It's on a group chat. It's just a one-on-one that I made and she's not responding to. But yes, she's coming. Keith did tell me. I had lunch with Keith recently because he's coming that same week. Our good old buddy Keith. He will not be on the show. He does not like attention. And he doesn't even homebrew anymore. So it doesn't matter. But yeah, when she comes up, Todd, we will ask her that. I'll make a note to say, hey, Todd accused you of storing sanitizer for an obscenely long time.
Yeah, like a year. To say a year, that seems absurd. So I'm sure it's not really that long, but we could go. You could say I accused her of storing it for a year.
I will, absolutely. But anyways, okay. Chris, that is fantastic feedback. Thank you so much for leaving it. A reminder, if and when you leave a voicemail, question, or feedback, and I use it on a future episode, you get yourself a $25 gift card. Just use that hotline, 325-305-6107. Let's get into the questions, my friends. 3 voicemails for the 3 questions we have. And our first question is from our buddy, Joe Whiting.
Hi, guys. It's Joe Whiting from downtown Skaneateles, New York. Hey, I've got a multi-pronged question on pressure fermentation in a corny keg with a spunding valve. First, I'm assuming a 5-gallon batch would need to be scaled down because of the lack of headspace. How much would you recommend to scale it down to? Next, because of the smaller amount of space on the bottom of the keg compared to a regular fermenter, I figure the trub is going to be pretty deep. I've been refitting all my kegs with floating dip tubes, so I'm not worried about picking it up when serving it. But would it make more sense to do a keg-to-keg pressure transfer after fermentation to get the beer off the trub? And would it make any difference what kind of yeast to use, ale or lager? Finally, an unpaid testimonial. I'm really enjoying the recipe receiving level of the Trub Club, or Trub Club if you prefer. The alt is on tap, Comanche Moon is in the keg, and back in the day when I was an extract brewer, ESB was one of my faves, so I'm looking forward to Todd's ESB this month. I always enjoy the show. Keep up the good work. Adios. Tu amigo Jose.
He ended with Spanish to commemorate our new initiative, Todd, on youtube.com/homebrew happy hour.
And he is going to love the ESB. It's one of my favorite recipes. I love that recipe.
It should be in the hands of all of them now. I shipped it last week, Tuesday, and or most of them went out. Pardon me. Some went out Monday. All of them for sure went out by Tuesday, and they have arrived in people's hands. He left this obviously before that voicemail, but I do, like you said, the ESB was a good one. The Comanche Moon, I sent y'all that picture, the screenshot of people praising the Comanche Moon. People, they think that I'm just fluffing it up because like this is my living, blah blah blah. No, we're trying to give y'all the best recipes we can come up with and the ones we like to brew and drink ourselves. It's not, that's probably why we haven't had any Belgian triples or super or hazy IPAs. We haven't done those yet. It's a 2-to-1 vote. We are, even though Todd's the boss man, he keeps it a little bit democracy. So we haven't gone too crazy. I suspect, Todd, this October kit is going to be the hoppiest beer that we've done this whole year. Or is it not even that hoppy? It's more piney from the spruce tips.
Yeah, I think the spruce tips will give it some different flavor. So I'm anxious to see that. Unfortunately, I don't know if I'll be able to brew it before to brew it and be able to really taste it before we can get it out to everybody. But the recipe looks really solid, so I think we're going to be good on it. I'm very, very anxious to try this one. Like I said before, it's kind of one of my favorite things every year is waiting for Anchor, and now I'm not going to get it.
But I know, poor Anchor. Somebody save them. But getting to Joe's question, James, let me throw it to you first. Mm-hmm. I know you're the pressure fermentation guy of the group. I mean, we are all 3 experts. We're in the just foremost, most prominent pressure homebrewers out there. But but
I mean, he really is.
No, but James is the guy of our group. But you don't do it
never brew that way.
Right,
so he's the expert.
Right, but
sure.
You don't do it in a keg, but you can at least, theoreticize with us here for a second.
Yeah, I would probably, I know there is some, and Todd knows more about the empty space on a regular, I guess it depends on what kind of keg it is. Is it pen lock converted or is it traditional ball lock? Then you might be able to get away with just doing a 4.5 gallon batch. Will that give you enough space? I'm not really sure. Todd would know more about how much is it if you fill it all the way to the lid, Todd?
So those new kegs that are 18 liter, we can full all the way to the lid with 5 gallons. So they're really more than 18 liter. A regular keg will hold more than 5 gallons. I mean, they call them 5-gallon kegs, but they hold more than 5 gallons. It really does vary a lot depending on who made the keg and what model it is and all of that. But maybe a quarter or half a gallon more than 5 gallons. But I mean, as far as how much space to leave, a lot of times when I brew on my big fermenter, I don't leave very much space at all. I don't know.
With pressure fermentation, you don't have to worry about it.
Well, okay, here's a question, James or Todd, but let me to James because he does the pressure fermentation. Can you do pressure fermentation and a blow-off tube? Or you can't, right?
You can't.
Right?
That defeats the purpose of pressure fermentation.
Right.
There's no such thing as a stupid question. But that was
close. But hear me.
I know. Really close.
Hold on. I'm in the Venn diagram of stupid and sincere. That's where I live, in that Venn diagram of stupid and sincere, James. But where I'm going at is, do you really? I guess it depends on the style. But let's say you're doing a wheat beer. And which is the yeast strains for wheat beers are notorious for motorboating, right? They just get vigorous. Would you want to go to the brim on a keg or any fermentation vessel, and would it not come up into your spunding valve somehow, or would it not?
It's possible. It is, especially if you got real vigorous fermentation. So I would probably back it off a half a gallon.
Yeah.
Even though you're doing pressure fermentation, here's the problem: is if you do get all that yeast, that high krausen was the highest point of that cake forming on top. From what I can tell, under pressure fermentation, that doesn't rise as high because the pressure kind of contains it into the wort itself. But I would still give, I'd probably scale down to 4.5 gallons to give it just a little bit of headspace, because you want to risk getting that sticky krausen into the spunding valve. It does have a backup PRV that will pop off if it goes. But you just want to be careful. I mean, we've all heard horror stories about conical lids blowing off because the spunding valve got clogged up and it wouldn't relieve the pressure. Just always be careful and be smart about what you do. Anytime you're dealing with pressure, it can be really dangerous.
And again, though, it's contextual to what you're brewing, right? Because you're doing a crispy lager. The cake, the trub at the bottom, and yes, Joe Whiting, it is trub. The trub at the bottom is not going to be as deep as like if I'm doing my breakfast stout, right? It's just not going to be. It depends on the style you're doing, that you're going to have to kind of calculate what kind of headspace you want to leave and what you expect to be able to get of product when it's done fermenting, right?
I've never accounted for more or less headspace on a given recipe. I just factor in, we know that the conicals we use have so much headspace already in a given batch of beer. Even before we were doing PRVs and spunding valves, we were still doing the blow-off tube. So you knew you were pushing scrub out the blow-off tube into the sanitizer, that you probably pushed it too much. But I run into that with the pressure fermentations I do, but I do all my stuff small beer, 4.5%, 5.5%.
Totally. Yeah. Cause that's all we're brewing and drinking.
Todd does a lot bigger beers, so he might have more insight on that.
And not only do you do bigger beers, Todd, frequently you're pushing, I haven't brewed with you for a few batches. You're always pushing the fermenter to the brim every time.
Yes.
Every single time. That's why I think you're not doing pressure fermentation. I assume, but
no, pressure fermentation, it would work better with pressure fermentation, because you don't need as much headspace, because you're not unless you let a lot of pressure up and you let it foam up and
which
shoot out. You don't really need. I mean, you got to have some, or your spunding valve may get clogged up. But it's not vigorous. It's not doing as much when you're pressure fermenting, when you get the pressure up.
No, I think to me, my pressure fermentations seem more vigorous than at normal temps, like with the Kolsch.
I think it's just because you can see it. It's clear bottle.
Okay,
and you can see it.
No, that is a good point. You're right.
Because what happens when you release the pressure? All that foam comes up. It starts breaking out of the beer.
Yeah. No, you're right, Todd. Good point.
The same thing happens on a dispensing system. Like, it's too warm.
And as far as the headspace versus the trub, it doesn't matter. I mean, the headspace has nothing to do. Like if you had 3 times as much trub, it still wouldn't change the headspace because it doesn't change the total volume. Your total volume doesn't increase because all that stuff was already in there when you put the wort in.
Right. So you're adjusting volume strictly for the vessel, not for the trub. I mean, when you're calculating it, right? And like what James was saying was like if you're gonna, okay, I'm doing it in the keg for convenience or whatever purpose. Use a software, we use brewersfriend.com, speaking of Lorena, and you can scale if you already have recipes in there. And I guarantee you every single one of these programs, Brewfather, all of them does this too. They should. It's 2023, but you just hit the scale down to 4.5 and it does all the math for you. So it would be quite simple, right, James, to adjust your recipe to fit the vessel that you're fermenting in. Now, when he's talking about the transfer, I would
absolutely do that?
I would think so, especially for the sake of clarity, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you don't have all that stuff to worry about. We're trying to get the yield out of the keg, and by the time that floating dip tube makes it all the way to the bottom, it'll have a little in the bottom, but nothing like it would be if you were trying to. So another thing that we got to remember is every time you move that or you go to force carbonate, you're going to stir all that up in the bottom of the keg and you're going to have permanent cloudy beer. So let it set cold when it's done fermenting, let them set cold for a week or two and then move it over because cold beer, the sediment doesn't disturb as easy as warm beer. And with it being cold, that trub in the bottom of the keg is going to stay packed down and cold. It won't be as apt to move through the transfer tube into the new keg. So that's another thing to think about.
And you obviously sometimes, or a lot of the times, you'll filter batches, but just by doing
that's great,
right?
Yep.
But
if you're doing keg to keg, why not just because you're using a liquid disconnect on one and a liquid disconnect on the other? Why not cut the tube, go to Amazon, get a 10-inch by 2-inch filter housing, and get some 1-micron filters and filter it out? Then you don't have to worry about it.
Right. I will say I can give an unpaid testimonial too about the transfer to transfer. You made me a jumper cable or from keg to keg just to go liquid to liquid for HomebrewCon. That just made a difference itself too, though. It was wild.
It works good. Just make sure you cut your dip tube about 1/2 inch because you don't want it stuck down in the very bottom of that there's a little divot that's molded in the bottom of the keg. And that dip tube, most of the time on ball lock kegs, it's setting right in the center of that. So it's designed to pick the very last bit of premix out of that keg. So when you're doing homebrew, just make sure you pull that tube out and cut about 1/2 inch off so you're not down into that mess.
To wrap up,
if you're filtering, it doesn't matter.
It wouldn't matter, right? It wouldn't matter at all. To wrap it up, would y'all say, is it the volume of beer you're brewing or the volume you're trying to yield that prevents y'all from using kegs to fermenting? Because obviously we have the bigger equipment. For me, my mindset is I want to get a full 5 gallons in that keg if I can. I don't want 4 gallons after everything's accounted for, or 4 and some change. I like 5. Todd, that's why you do 17.5 gallon batches, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the reason I don't ferment in kegs is I have a 17 gallon fermenter. So
well, that's what I was saying. The volume of what you're brewing would make sense to, unless you wanted to do split batches or whatever, but not, pressure brewing. We were late to the game a little, but now it's like, James is a believer. It's brand new. Do you think brewing or fermenting in a keg is it something you'd even want to consider, or do you think there's no point in really doing it because of how the quantities you're brewing or whatnot?
I mean, I'd be willing to try. I mean, it might be fun to try. I like to try new things.
You do like to try new things. I was asking James though. James, what do you think?
If I had to, if it come right down to it, and I did not have access to the nice equipment Todd provides us, I would try it.
That is my answer,
especially
too.
if I wanted to get if you wanted to jump into pressure fermentation, that would be a good way because it's already sealed. It'll handle pressure. And then all you need is a splending valve and a disconnect. And then you'd be in the pressure fermentation business, but then you'd be only doing 4 gallon. I'd be doing 4.5 gallon batches.
You know what? That is actually a great point about that most people who are listening are keg. And not only that, but most people listening don't pressure ferment. You're right, James. using things they already have. What on the low end? What do we sell a spunding valve for, Mr. Burns? It's like $30 or 25 and some change.
I don't remember.
I know. Yeah. Well,
it's between 25 and 30.
Right. So for pretty affordable entry level type of price, impulse, one might say, of shopping price, you can, if you,
$14.95 is that's the thing. Yeah. $29.95 with a disconnect.
With the CM Becker disconnect.
With a CM Becker German made disconnect.
Yeah. With the German made.
And then you that's exactly what you would need if you were fermenting in a keg, right?
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. James made an excellent point that if you have any kind of inkling to try it, but you don't want to drop and I'll say this, look, the the Firmzilla from Kedland that I use, or the the Anvil Fermenter King, those are both great devices, fermenting vessels, 15.9 gallon plastic PET vessels that can be pressurized up to like 30 PSI. Those are very affordable too, though. Like when they're in stock, that I think that snub nose or the all rounder that I use from Kedland is like $130 or something. I mean, for that size volume. So it's not like all this stuff. What I'm getting at is relatively affordable if you want to get into it. But if you already have kegs, yeah, James, like you said, scale down your recipe and try pressure fermenting in a keg and see how you like it. And that would absolutely be the easiest foot in the door, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally digress. I took Joe's question and I took it on a wild ride, but, So Joe, I think your answer was in there somewhere. Either way, that's a guy we actually got to get to the ranch, Todd. I've been wanting to have jam sessions with Joe Whiting for years since we've had him on the show. But anyways, Joe, thank you so much for submitting your question. If anyone has feedback, please leave it in the comments at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. Or if you think I'm going to play it on a future episode, you could always leave a voicemail at 325-305-6107 and you'll get yourself a $25 gift card, much like you would if you called and left a question that I then take on a future episode. Like our second question of this week's show, it's a voicemail from our buddy Dave from Oregon.
Hey, it's Dave from Oregon. I just had a question about the quick carbonating keg lid. I've seen you guys advertise a few times lately. Looks like it has a diffusion stone to be able to get CO2 in solution faster. How exactly does one of those work? Do you crank the pressure and let it go for a shorter time period? How long would that take, and what pressure would you normally use? Just curious. Thanks to Josh and the crew. Okay, bye.
No, thanks to you, Dave. Thanks to you. We have been pushing it because we just got them back in stock. We get the lids. We do make all this stuff in house. I say we as if I'm a part of it. Vilver and company do it. But Todd, well, first off, your video on forced carbonation, we probably need to update it because I don't think you force carb that way anymore. But these lids are commonly used for forced carbonating like that. A lot of the time I use it and y'all use it at the office for water, for kegs of water, and people for the coffee industry frequently use these types of lids with nitrogen for their nitrogenated cold brew to really get it infused in there when it's coming, when they're kegging it and serving it. But is there some quick carb lid 101 techniques, Todd, you can go over for that product? Or is it just, you plug and play?
Quick carb. Oh, I see what you mean. Quick carb lids.
That's the name of the product.
Basically, huh?
That's the name of the product. Quick carbonation lid.
No. I thought you were. I in my mind, I twisted that around to mean something else, but I understand what you mean now. So, the great thing about those carb lids is that they just carbonate a lot faster because you've got the stone and it's down at the bottom. I mean, you really just set it exactly where you want it to be and you leave it.
So you mean it would?
Plus, you can move it from keg to keg. So if you wanted to use it as just a carbonation stone, you can pop it out and move it to another keg, and then you don't need to have 2 or 3 of those.
I think.
Yeah. So what he's saying is you don't have to. Once it's carbonated, you don't have to leave it with that keg. You can put the original keg back on that keg and move it to the next one.
The original lid. Or no, you could do the original keg on that keg. The original lid on that keg is what you meant. The carb lid, James, that is the best point. So we offer it this way still and have sold many over the many, many years of Keg Connection's existence. But used to, people would pay, James, for us to permanently install a dip tube with the carb stone on it. And I say permanent because it's such a pain in the butt. It basically does become a permanent process, doesn't it? Once you
and I don't really recommend those. I don't think those are good for beer. That's more for soda,
water,
or carbonated water. I think it works better for that.
Something a little cleaner without protein.
Yeah. But I'm saying that's the way it was done for many years. And then there were lids before. I don't know if you remember, Todd, that had come out a while ago. I think we had a sample, and it could have just been that sample, but I remember it kind of leaching flavor off the tube and affecting certain. Did you remember that? Like the original ones, why you didn't hop on the bandwagon 6-7 years ago, because it was like some industrial. I don't know. What I'm getting at is now we've tested these ones and used them, and it's like, you're just able to get the carbonation thing, not having to worry about flavors leaching off of the hose or the stone or all that. It's just like, I said it earlier, I think it's very plug and play. That's the benefit of those lids. And like James said, switching from keg to keg, it's not a permanent installation. Because you don't need permanent installation 99% of the time that you are wanting this kind of solution, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I have one at home. The ones that are permanent were great for carbonated water. The problem with them is, one of the things that they recommend with the ones that we sell now is that if you get anything on them, like fingerprints is what they're talking about, but also if you were using it for beer, let's say, and you got all the crap from the wort or even up to the finished beer on there, that's it's a good idea to boil them. Well, you can't boil them if they're in the keg.
Oh, good point. Yeah. If it's a permanent install, you're not reaching your hand in there and getting the stone.
It works great for carbonated water. Again, I think the other one works good for. I love them. I mean, I use it all the time. I used one recently to make a drink for my wife. In fact, at some point we should probably talk about that in small talk.
Oh, well, you could bring it up now. I love the fact that you're doing it. My dad and I did a similar thing for Esther's party. You're talking about you did a high noon clone, but we did a hard Topo Chico clone. At the end of the day, it's
very same thing. What I like about high noon, I mean, I have not sampled a lot of those, except my daughter gives me one every once in a while, and I take a sip and go, ah. But what I liked when we tried the high noon ones is they're not very sweet. I don't like them to be very sweet, and that's kind of what we were going for, is something not so sweet.
Establishing your masculinity. Like, men can drink high noon, Todd. It's okay.
No, but my wife can't drink sweet things. So
yes, no, that is the real reason. Yeah, I just mean you were like, oh, yeah, I don't drink them. Listen, my dad made that, my dad will have to come on the show and clarify, or leave a voicemail. Dad, I'll give you some of Todd's money. He used, I believe, a handle of lime vodka to 4 gallons of seltzer water was his dilution, I believe, and it brought it to like 4.5 or maybe 5%. And so basically it was just gin and soda and on tap. I prefer vodka soda. Pardon me. I prefer gin and soda, but it was great at the party. Actually, last Sunday when we were there, I had a Kolsch because my dad's giving it away to everybody, so I have to enjoy it while it's still on tap. And then there was still some of that vodka soda on tap. I was like, oh, this is perfect. Because that's all it basically is. It's not as weird to me as what we've talked about on older episodes where people make craft cocktails and keg them. And old fashioned on tap. That might be weird to me. But the vodka soda on tap made sense. But yes, back to the question for this. A implementation like that where you want that big carbonic bite and you want it consistent and infused into your beverage, a stone on like these quick carb lids makes total sense. It's doing constant infusion. And what y'all are saying to kind of answer his question is just because it's doing better infusion doesn't mean you use it less amount of time than you would for other means of carbonation, or more. You just use it like you would.
No, that's I didn't mean to say that. Okay. When I force carbonate normally using my normal method, I turn the pressure way up, and I do it very quickly. Like, I do a minute first and then 30 seconds and then another 30 seconds and maybe 20 seconds. And then I stop before it's totally carbonated. With a carb stone, you don't do that. You can do that some. In other words, if you want to get a little bit of a push on it, you could do that a little bit. But, really what you can do is just whatever you're going to carbonate it, wherever you want that carbonated, you put it in there, you close everything up, you put it in the kegerator, and the next day it's probably going to be carbonated to that level because the stone just carbonates
that much more
a
efficiently.
lot better. Like if you put a keg at 10 psi and you left it and didn't do anything but just leave it on 10 psi, it's going to take a very long time to get to that level of carbonation. Whereas with a stone, it's going to get there very quickly.
I got you. Yeah.
Relatively quickly.
And you made it up a long time. I mean, you just used arbitrary long time. In my experience, we get it to where we want, like with like 7 to 10 days. If we just set it and forget it, that's been like the sweet spot for us in regards to, okay, we have this Kolsch. We're not going to force carb it. We're just going to stick it in the fridge and put it at 12 psi or 10 psi by a week to 10 days.
So
later.
you're able to get it I'm surprised you get it in a week. Really.
Well, it could be because my Kolsch is already cold. That's not the cold. So it's cold. It was this last batch.
No, not cold. I mean, I'm talking about the.
No, I know. Well, I'm saying though, maybe I'll give you the factors. My Kolsch that I brewed for Esther's party was cold conditioning in my fridge for 2 weeks before I took it to my dad's, and we took it 2 weeks before the party. It sat in his fridge for a week or like 5 days, and then we put it on gas until the party. And by the time of the party, it was carbon. It was great. But
how long was it on gas? Because none of that other stuff matters.
Like 10 days. It was like 10 days on gas. But
10 days.
But it was pressure fermented. I don't know how much that also helped.
Oh, it makes a huge difference.
Well, that's why I'm giving you all the context. I'm saying.
No, but what I'm talking about is a beer that's not carbonated at all.
Okay. How long is a long time?
I don't know. I've never had the patience to try it. Are you kidding me?
I know it doesn't take long with our sparkling water. We can literally just put it in the.
But we have a carbonating stone in there.
Yeah, we got a carb stone, and it seems like
we got a
it
carb
carbonates
stone.
a lot quicker.
Oh my gosh, so
James,
quick.
what he's talking about is how long would it take if you didn't have a carb stone and you put it at the exact level you want it. So you want your beer carbonated to 10 psi. You don't have a carb stone, and you just put it at 10 psi. I would think it would take 3 weeks. I mean, okay. I'm sure we have listeners that could tell us.
I've got a carbonation table. I can tell you exactly.
See? Yeah, there's math, Todd, that I can't do, but he'll figure out the math. But yeah, so his part of it where it says, do you just crank the pressure and let it for a shorter time period? You're saying, Todd, yes, it will only take a shorter time period to get the results that you want. You don't have to leave it on as long.
Yeah, well, so you said a shorter time period. Well, if the way I carbonate is a much shorter time period than using a carb stone, because I carbonate it in like 3 minutes. That was what I was saying.
I'm sorry. You're right. I'm throwing too many curveballs because the way you specifically, you force carb and boom, it's done because you put it up to 40 and you shake it for 3 minutes and you test it with your CMB event faucet, the flow control event faucet, make sure it's where you want it. And then you put it at serving PSI. There is no set and forget. For a carb stone, you can set and forget, and you're saying 1 or 2 days, it's probably going to be where you want it to be, as opposed to set and forget without a stone taking considerably longer. And James, you're shaking your head. No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, because it's just setting there. The gas is coming out really slow, but if you don't, I've got the data here. So if you've got 38-degree beer kegerator and you want 2.5 volumes of CO2, which is what I always shoot for. Most beers, 2.5 volumes. It's going to take 10 to 11 days.
Without a stone, or you're saying it doesn't matter?
Either way. I think either way. Just
I think it makes I don't think that's right, James. I think it makes a huge difference whether you have a stone or not.
$5.
In other words,
that's my opinion.
If you just have the gas on the top of the keg, the whole point of having a carbonation stone is it does it faster. So if the gas is just on the surface of the keg, it's going to take much longer to carbonate than if you're using a carb stone.
Because of the infusion. because of it.
Because it's down in liquid. Yeah. Todd, you're probably right. I'm probably wrong.
No. Don't give up like that. No, now I take James's opinion. I'm on James's side. Well, I think it's the same too, Todd, and I'm going to bet. No, I'm not going to bet you because I don't know.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. I'm lying.
Where this is
no,
going.
I don't.
Yeah.
I take it back. I'm not betting anything. But there is, look, we have a carbonation table. We actually used it at our presentation for HomebrewCon, where if you're trying to get to a certain bar and how long it would take, because the variable is temperature of the liquid and the PSI that you have, right, to get to the volume.
Yeah, the colder you get, the quicker it dissolves into the CO2. So looking at this chart, if you're at 35 and you want 2.5, you're looking at 9 to 10 days, 32 degrees. You're looking at 8 days.
That's cold.
So, and the warmer it is, the longer it takes.
Oh, it's so long. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to be over 40 degrees because that can promote foaming, but you're looking at, 13 days.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think, we can.
But like Todd said, I didn't even think about it. It's not setting inside the beer.
Yeah, surface.
I don't know if it'll fully carbonate in 2 days. I don't think that will happen.
Right.
But, if you just set it and forget it in the beer, it's probably going to be less. We definitely need to check that out.
I like this question because this is going to get comments. And that's all this is about, guys. I just want the algorithms to be on our side for once. Leave a comment at youtube.com/Homebrew Happy Hour, obviously on this video. And people, I got a message one time like, Josh, I'm watching your video already. You don't have to give me the URL. Buddy, 95% of our audience is audio only. That's why I only give the dictation to people to go to our YouTube channel, because the vast majority of people who consume this show are Chinese bots and audio only listeners. So that's the people who listen to our show. But Dave, thank you so much for submitting that question. The final reminder, when you leave a voicemail like our buddy Dave just did, and I use it on a future episode, you get yourself a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. And we're ending the show with the voicemail. Our buddy Brian from Cross Plains called in, and he also got himself a $25 gift card.
Cross Plains, you mean like right down the street?
Hey, Josh.
Yeah,
James,
he's been in here.
Todd, this is Brian Bennett, your neighbor over in Cross Plains, Texas. I'd like y'all to maybe discuss your technique on coffee stouts. I've got a coffee stout that I'm going to brew in a couple of weeks, and I've made some really good ones, and then I've made some not so good ones, and I just don't know what the ratio of coffee to wort is, and maybe when to add the coffee to the wort. So maybe if we could discuss that, I could probably learn something. And I don't have a whole lot of things to say about Josh, except that his dad is a cool guy. I wish I had my dad around, and I like the fact that they brew together and fish together and all that good stuff. All right, thanks.
First, have you met my dad? I don't know, Brian, if you've met my dad. He's all right. No, he is great. Coffee stout, guys. James, have you brewed a coffee stout?
No. That's your territory.
No, don't throw it to me. Todd, have you brewed a coffee stout?
I have, but you're the expert. I'm not even going to respond to this question.
I actually did a little bit of preparing for this. Let me actually start. It is about time to start thinking about brewing a delicious coffee stout. The weather's cooling down, and the days are getting shorter. The holidays will be here before we know it. And the first secret to brewing an exceptional coffee stout is to use exceptional, ethically sourced artesian coffee. That's why my pop and I only use Folgers. Because the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. Okay, sorry.
Okay. I said I wasn't going to comment.
I'm sorry.
Oh God, give me a break.
I thought of that like an hour before we started recording. I was like, oh, I have to mention Folgers. That I Googled like generic commercial music, and then that was like the music that they used as a bed and fold. I mean, I actually YouTubed Folgers commercials because I don't watch live TV at all. I don't even know if Folgers still makes commercials. Does anyone make commercials? It's not pharmaceutical and cell phone companies, but either way.
The best part of waking up. There's Folgers in your cup. Who could ever forget that?
It was good advertising. The best part of our breakfast stout is you admitting it's delicious, knowing it's full of Folgers. I love that.
I know for a fact that y'all didn't use Folgers the last used 2 years.
Well, no. So here's the thing. So let me actually answer the question. This wasn't just a shit post opportunity for me. I actually have an answer for him, and I actually wrote some notes down because I didn't want to convey bad information. The recipe that we use is modified from what Lorena came up with when we had homebrewsupply.com. Actually, when other people owned homebrewsupply.com, she came up with it for them. And that's the first time I brewed it, was when Todd first acquired that domain and we started doing more recipes and ingredients. We didn't have a breakfast stout clone, but longtime listeners of the show will know breakfast stout, that's like my second or third favorite beer of all time. It is still up there. Kolsch is what I mostly talk about, but breakfast stout is still almost always on tap at my Pops, or I have bottles of it in my fridge.
Can I just interject real quick that we actually had a rule on the show one time that he was not allowed to say breakfast stout.
You did.
Which we're getting close to that on Kolsch.
Oh, you're not consistent, because I talk about Kolsch way more than I ever talked about breakfast stout. But I love it. I love coffee. It's an imperial coffee stout for people who are brand new and don't listen or haven't heard us talk about breakfast stout. It's an imperial coffee stout. It has, it just tastes like breakfast in your mouth, and it's very boozy. I say very. It's like 8 to 9.5%. So it's not like knock your socks off. But anyway, the coffee part of it is the kind of signature part of a coffee stout, obviously. And you don't want, like, if you do the coffee additions at different points, or if you do it too much or whatever, you're going to bring out too much tannins, or it's going to make it way too bitter or way too overly coffee. So the ratio that I've always heard, and I believe I read it on Homebrew Academy's webpage first many years ago, they do a 16-to-1 ratio for coffee to whatever. So if you're doing a 4-gallon batch, Todd, you have to do the math for me, because I didn't actually write down the math. I just wrote down 16-to-1, but and he's actually Australian, I think, or he might be British. But
it's okay. Ratios work the same.
No, but I'm saying though, but like I'm saying, he's doing it to milliliters. Because I remember the article. I actually had it pulled up at one point when I was writing stuff down, because I was like, I'm going to give good answers, and here we are now, and I'm just pooping the bed. But the recipe that we're using, I don't think is quite that. We do a 5-gallon recipe kit. We use 4.5 ounces of coarse grounds in a bag during flame out. That's like establishing the base bitterness or taste rather from the coffee. That's where, Todd, we've used Folgers first. And I think it's the Folgers red can is what my dad has used there. But the last time we actually used like Hawaiian Conan, he had a bag of it. If you want us to do not Folgers this year, you're going to have to help us source it, because he had.
I will be more than happy to buy the coffee.
And then, so for the breakfast stout, the 4.5 ounces of coarse grounds in the bag during flame out. And then we cold brew 12 ounces of coffee using only 2 ounces of grounds, and we rack the wort from after primary is done. We go to secondary. We put, in a carboy is what we've always used, and we purge it. We put the 12 ounces of cold brew. It's very important. It's cold brew, and we put we rack from primary to secondary on top of that. That kind of infuses it into it, and then that's what gives it that real strong maple and coffee taste that you get at the pour. Because we keg, that's the way we do it. I do remember people on Homebrew Talk many years ago saying, I bottle, and I found best results to be adding my cold brew at the point of bottling in each bottle, as opposed to adding it, like we do in a keg, which I guess is all relative. And it is kind of to taste as well. You can, ours, Todd, you've been drinking my dad and I's batches for what, 4 years, 3 years?
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed a year that was, to me, I think we're pretty consistent with the strength of coffee taste.
Very, very consistent. I'm anxious to get my new keg.
Yeah. I'm anxious to give it to you, but
can you brew it a little early this year? I mean, it's, you know what? Man, dude, you should have already brewed that, because it ages for a long time. If you brewed it tomorrow, it would just barely be ready for Christmas.
We didn't brew our last one until like 2 weeks before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. You know what? It's yeah.
No,
yeah.
but that's why if you saw the invoice or the receipt or whatever they call it from Imperial, I got Pats of Darkness so that we can brew it.
So what are you going to brew it on? Because you got 4 packs, so I'm assuming you're going to brew at least 3 kegs worth.
Man, you were so perceptive. My plan was to do a double brew day, but so if you remember last year, we did a double brew day of it, but we didn't, not a full double brew day. We did a 5-gallon batch and the 10-gallon batch, but my dad was the one really doing it while I was doing the episode. Do you remember that vaguely? We recorded from his game room. And
you've said that like it's unusual.
Yeah, hey. How dare you? But I was, it almost was a disaster because my poor father was running back and forth between, let me help you on the show. And, I got a brew. And the whole time I'm sitting there like, yeah, Dad, you got this under control. You got it. This year, it's not going to be a brew day that we are doing a show. I'll probably cast it live, but I want to do 2 10-gallons this time, Todd. That way, my dad and I have 5s, 2 5s here. You get 1 and James gets 1. I think that.
Or you could do a big batch on your new brow tag system.
I could do a big batch on the new brow tag that's not set up in my garage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. See. Yeah. I don't have. Hold on. There we go. There's some sound effects on this board. But yes, I don't actually have. I took this question just to plug to do the commercial bit part. I don't have really good techniques on using coffee, except that there's a ton of great information out there. If you're trying to do the Imperial coffee stout that we do, which I would say is a fantastic intro into coffee stouts. If you like coffee stouts, there's a good chance you like Founder's Breakfast. And then you can go from there. I've had people write in to tell me I actually did a KBS clone, which is celebrating their 20th anniversary this year. Kentucky Breakfast Stout, which is more boozy, kind of more alcohol front on the nose. You can really tailor it however you want. And again, you know, if we do a 10-gallon batch, we could do an experiment of, well, is that 12 ounces enough? Or is it too much? Let's do 8 ounces in this fermenter or in this carboy, and let's do 12 in this one. Or if we were brewing it like on the brow tag and doing a 15-gallon batch, we could do 3 and really play around with it. That's the fun thing, I think, James, about brewing in 2023 and brewing beers that you like and getting consistent with them, is you just dial in that recipe and you can always tweak it. And actually, you're muted. I'm sorry. I don't think I muted you, but it shows that you're muted. Okay, there you go.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Right. I mean, that's all you do. You're notorious for just tweaking recipes. Even if it's just a little bit, just be like, I want it a little crispier, or
I'm real bad about that. I need to stop doing that.
I don't think bad's the right word, because more times than not, you'll tell me, well, like, first off, I don't know if you want to talk about it. We haven't brought it up. Did the Fest beer mellow out, or did it not come back?
I don't know. I don't like it. I don't think it's one of my better beers, but I'm going to go ahead and keg it and let it age and see.
Okay, because you had the Fest.
See, he doesn't like it. I think it's one of the best apricot beers I've ever had.
Yeah.
Oh no! Oh gosh! Oh no!
It's really funny because he brought me a glass yesterday, and I was like, I actually kind of like the taste of this beer. Like, I do. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I would definitely put it on my kegerator, and
there we go.
Yeah.
I'll probably keg it tomorrow because I'm planning on brewing another batch of beer Friday. Just because we got to get our stocks up. I don't know about y'all, but I don't have any at home.
No.
So
we got to get it back up. Those are rookie numbers. Got to pump those up.
Yeah.
You have plenty of harvest, right? I didn't get you any this month.
Okay. Yeah, there's still plenty upstairs. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I got to ask Todd, is there anything I could have ordered you? I'm sorry.
No, you don't care about me.
He told me before we were recording, next if I don't ask him what he wants for yeast when I put in the yeast order, I am fired.
I didn't say ask me what I want. I said if you don't discuss it with me, because like for the last year I've been saying, before you order yeast, talk to me about it. And he just when he doesn't want to do something, he just completely blows me off. That's what
I don't know what you're talking about. When I'm really wanting to blow off Todd, I just do what I want. No. Anyways, Brian, sorry So sorry, not sorry. I had an answer there. We didn't. But this is a great time to solicit feedback. What do y'all think about who is the real coffee brewers? I'm just my dad and I make a delicious breakfast stout, but it's just because we tweet what Lorena basically perfected already. So I have no real input except to message me or go to homebrewhappyhour.com. I put the breakfast stout recipe on there. Download that PDF, source it from, if you're going to go to More Beer, remember guys, you can always use our affiliate code. I think we've made 87 cents in the last 19 months with them. So we are building up our numbers as affiliates of More Beer, but go to homebrewhappyhour.com. All the information's there. And again, if you have any feedback on it, you can call it in at 325-305-6107, or do me a favor, go to the YouTube channel, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and comment. It greatly helps the algorithm for us. So guys, that's all I have for this week's show. I greatly appreciate y'all's time, and I guess I will see y'all when I'm up there next week.
Hey, we appreciate you, Josh.
No, we appreciate you.
We appreciate you.
That will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page. Or even better, have I said it enough? Call it in. Leave a voicemail. Be Todd's best friend. Be James's best friend at 325-305-6107. Thank you to our show sponsors like Spruce on Tap. Hold on, I've got outro music. Check them out and use the promo code HHH to save 15% off your order of $25 or more. That's spruceontap.com. Also, thank you to Muntins Malt Premium Grains for a better brew day. If you aren't already brewing with Muntins, give them a try by joining a recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club. And for the best hops available online, give our friends at hopsdirect.com a visit and pick up what you need for your next brew day. Also, get a pack of Imperial yeast along with premium recipes from us when you join the Trub Club. Go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and come brew with us. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thanks for listening.